What you want to guide the children to reveal in their insights in the mashal, the metaphor with the 10-pin bowl, is to recognize there's a power struggle, so to speak. Who's more powerful, the bowler with his bowl or the pin, the skittle, that's either falling or not falling? So if it falls down, who's more powerful? So it looks like the bowler is much more powerful. And if the pin does fall, then what's going to happen? Is the bowler going to be less or more encouraged to try again because it's working? So the more the target, who the children will bring out, oh, that's the bowling pin, the more the target falls, whichever way it does, like showing, you hate you, or starting to show emotion and walk out the room or look embarrassed. Not taking away that's a reality. I'm just sharing in the observation that in the power struggle, remember the bully is one who wants to maintain the imbalance of power. So over here in this mashal, you have this very simple metaphor where the bowler seems to have more power when he knocks down the pin. But what happens if he doesn't knock down the pin? What happens if the pin just stays straight, even when it had a direct hit? It took a direct hit and did not fall. What will the bowler do? He might try a bit harder next time. But if that still doesn't work, the pin's like, what is this? I hit it directly, why doesn't it fall? Guess what? It's only a matter of time before the bully, the bowler, is going to go elsewhere. He'll go to another lane and try his luck over there because you're not a good target. Because if it's about power and you stand up to the bowler, then who's more powerful, the bowler and his bowl or the pin, the target? Hey, if the target is more powerful, that doesn't make me look cool. If we're going to take that I get to look powerful and cool and better than you because I'm stronger than you, I'm better than, I hold you down, I oppress you with my roidef, rod, oppress, pay. The fey in the roidef is the mouth. I'm oppressing you with my insults, with my bullying. I'm roidef you, and hey, I can never catch you. You always like disappear, you're not there. You're not a target. You don't fall. You show more power than I have by not getting upset. In fact, you say, cool, that's what you think, it's not what I think. Those are your thoughts, they're not mine. And if you say it with humor or you laugh it off, so you didn't fall? Oh. So now there's an imbalance of power where the person who's not falling looks stronger because that's inside job. Remember? Gevura, that's inside. Oh. So guess what? He'll go elsewhere. He's not going to stick around with you. You're not worth it because he doesn't get to look cool. He's not more powerful with you anymore. It doesn't make any sense. He'll go elsewhere. That is what we want the children to articulate in this scenario of the challenge that these two people have in terms of a power struggle. Another part of this is we want them to recognize that the bully looks like he's winning every time he knocks down the pin. But when the pin recognizes that I have the resilience to stand up to this because it's only in my mind that I can let you bully me, you can't go in my mind and break me because I'm thought. I'm Tselem Elokim. You can't cut a knife through Tselem Elokim. You can't put a bullet through thought. So you can't harm me unless I'm telling myself I'm injured, I'm down, I can't get up, I'm no good. I'm always the underdog. It's only me who can do that to myself, not you. Once that really starts to get into the bloodstream, the mindset of the target gets to be stronger. And when the target is stronger, the bully loses power. When he loses power, he's not cool, goes elsewhere. So that's what you're really looking for the children to be able to articulate. If kids have lots of friends, lots of other pins around them, then and they are also strong. So when one falls and the others support him, that can also help the bully say, you know what, there's too many bystanders here who are on the side of the target. I don't get to look cool because they're standing up for him, goes elsewhere, or just stops the bullying. So these are what we're talking about in terms of going to the core of the issue and not sivuvim, not going around, skirting around the issue by having the bully brought into the office. We have to do that too, by the way. By calling the parents, we may have to do that too. By speaking to the teacher, we may have to do that too. But all that is not actually going to really solve the problem at its cause level. It looks like it's solving the problem at the symptom level, but that's never, ever the solution. A true solution is always when you get rid of the original cause. The original cause is my believing I'm bullied, I'm a victim. He's terrible and I'm terrible. He's terrible and I'm starting to believe him. And that's the tragedy. So just to patch that up by saying, hey, no, you're really good. No, you're not ugly. You are pretty. And it can help a little bit. It's band-aids, but it's not getting to the core. The core is, who is in control of me? Who controls my thoughts? You or me? That's really the bottom line. Okay, let's go to the third mashal. We're in section 9 over here, 9.3 to be precise, and we're up to our third metaphor. So there's 3 metaphors here. First one is the dollar bill, or 10 or 50 or 20 or $100 bill. The second metaphor is the 10 pin. And the third metaphor is, who am I? Am I a Rolls Royce? That's a very, very fancy car. It happens to be one of the most expensive cars in the world. It's the car that is the choice of royalty, aristocracy, and people who want to quantify their wealth in public. They'll buy a Rolls Royce, or maybe a Bentley or Daimler, but a Rolls Royce is right at the top. That's what the Queen of England goes in. So am I a Rolls Royce, or am I a beat up 67 Chevy? Now, a 67 Chevy might not be that familiar expression to today's generation of kids, so you might have to explain it or come up with its equivalent. But it used to be that a 67 Chevy was a description of a car that's like old, beat up, and dented all over, barely surviving. So we're going to make a very simple comparison between a Rolls Royce and a 67 Chevy. And we're going to have the children talk about this mashal. So imagine here you are, we're asking the following question. This is really the goal here is to identify who am I, who's the real me. And the way we're going to do that is a little bit by law of subtraction, by identifying who I am not. Am I my body? Am I my car? Am I my house? Am I my clothes? Am I my height? Am I the shape of my body? See, it's true that all those are descriptions of me, but is that the inside me, or is that really a description of the outside of me? But the outside of me is not the real me. I'm not my mouth, I'm not my nose, I'm not my head, I'm not my arms, my legs, my body, I'm not my clothes, I'm not my bank account, I'm not my car, I'm not my house, I'm not any of what's outside of me. I am truly only thought. I really am my neshama, the true me. But how do we get to that? So we're going to use now a mashal, a very simple metaphor, in comparing a Rolls Royce to a 67 Chevy. So imagine someone comes up to you and you think you're a Rolls Royce because you believe you're a Rolls Royce because you know you're a Rolls Royce. And you see they look like they're about to scratch you or give you a kick. Before they get that close, the moment you realize something is wrong in the way you're approaching me, you're going to say, who do you think you are? I'm a Rolls Royce. You're not going to dent me. And if they do, you're going to say back, are you out of your mind? You know who I am? In other words, just because they dented you or scratched you or called you a silly name, said, you look to me like a 67 Chevy. Are you crazy? You don't know what a Rolls Royce looks like? You have never seen a Rolls Royce before? So it's like a total misunderstanding of true identity. I'm a Rolls Royce. So let's say the guy succeeds in kicking me and beating me up, or has been doing this from a very young age, and my parents did nothing about it. And so now I actually really believe I'm a beat up 67 Chevy. I mean, everyone has told me, and if I look in the mirror, you'll see all the scars, all the dents, all the scratches. I mean, there's no question about it. And finally, I'm almost at a point of complete dysfunction. And they sign me into an asylum, Has v'shalom, or they take me into the scrap metal yard to see what little I'll fetch. And the boss of the scrap metal yard, he opens up my bonnet and he goes, OMG. This is the engine of a Rolls Royce. 1 second. And he starts inspecting the whole car and he says, you know what, you've even put a plaque on it, 67 Chevy. I'm going around, I'm checking the metal and the whole, do you realize you're beaten up a lot? But you're a Rolls Royce. Do you realize that? I mean, the engine is a Rolls Royce. So let me ask you, what are the implications of this revelation? From the youngest age, you've been called all sorts of names, beaten up, scratched, and called good for nothing. And eventually you started believing it. Where did you believe it? Over here. You look in the mirror and you look at yourself as, I'm a nobody, I'm a nothing, I'm beat up, I'm a 67 Chevy. Everyone says it, everyone knows it, and so do I. And then you have a reality check on someone who truly knows what a human being really is, and you discover for the first time that you're a Rolls Royce. Really? Really? And they show you, yeah, your engine is a Rolls Royce. What are the implications? Does that mean you were not a Rolls Royce till now? Or that means all along you were a Rolls Royce, didn't realize it? See, if you really have a Rolls Royce engine and a little bit of fine tuning and some improvements, a few replacement parts perhaps, but essentially the only real change that needs to take place is, oh, mistaken identity. I thought I was a 67 Chevy. Everyone else told me, my parents, my friends, my siblings, but I'm really a Rolls Royce? Oh, that changes everything. Because now you respond differently. Oh, so let's figure this out together with the children. What are the implications? If you are a Rolls Royce, what does that mean? And help the kids start talking about, oh, that means I always was a Rolls Royce, I just didn't realize it. Oh, so you were coming from thinking you're a 67 Chevy? So let's figure this out. If I'm a 67 Chevy and you go and give me a kick and a dent, so guess what? I've got so many scratches and dents all around. What's another kick going to make any difference? And so you just take it. Because you're 67 Chevy and 67 Chevys get kicked about, dented, beaten up, because that's what I am. But the moment you realize, 1 second, no, you can't do that. I'm a Rolls Royce. And the guy says, no, you're not, you're 67. No, well, look, it makes no difference what you think I am. It's cool that you think that way. That's your reality, it's not mine. And it can't change my reality of me. I know I'm a Rolls Royce. I know I'm Selim Elohim. I know that I am a soul that thinks. My power of thinking comes from God. So does yours. You're also a Rolls Royce. Just happens you think you're a bully. But you're not. You're only a bully over here. And if I'm a victim of a bully, it's because I'm telling myself I'm a victim. But guess what? You're not who you think you are in your behavior. And nor am I, because one thought later you can do teshuva. One thought later you can be a different person. And I'm already past that because I know I'm a Rolls Royce. I already know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is inside of me and he's the one who gives me the power to choose what to think. So I may not be able to control you telling me I'm a 67 Chevy, I'm good for nothing, I'm a nobody, I have no friends, but then I've got to match that up against my reality, and my reality is, well, I've got my family, and I have got friends in the community that you're not aware of. I've got my neighbors who go to a different school. We're best friends. We play every night when I come home from school. We play Ben Azmanim. We play during the summer. I go to the same camp as them. I'm not in the same camp as you, so you think I don't have any friends, so you say I've got no friends. But then I match it up against my reality, and guess what? I have friends. And even if I don't because I'm not social, well, that's my choice. So I don't take that as an insult. I'm still a Rolls Royce. What your words can't change reality when reality is inside out. But if it's outside in, I could really fall into the trap of thinking I'm nothing, nobody, not worth anything. And if other people say that, and that compounds my self-identity, I'm in trouble. But only as long as I believe that. Only as long as I think that. These are some of the thoughts that children are capable of sharing when they talk about their response to these three mashalim, these three metaphors. The goal of these three metaphors essentially is for the children to recognize their own indestructible resilience, their own ability to stand up to adversity. And it has to be that way, that Hashem, in His great kindness, designed every element of the entire Bria, of all creation, with its own innate health, its own innate ability to function and do what it has to do. and compensate when all the factors that are needed for it to be vibrant and exist at optimum, when not all the factors are present, so that particular element of the Bria will compensate in some other way, but it will still survive with strength. I'll never forget during a storm, a winter storm, it was a Shabbos, and the snow was coming down heavy, and it was very early snowstorm, like October, and branches were coming down and really leaning very depressingly from the weight of the snow, and then some branches started really breaking, and then some trunks even fell, actual trees. And this was right in front of our eyes, and it was so interesting that there were 3 trees in front of our house where the branches started falling, and after the snowfall, a landscaper told us you should really replant new trees here, because the distortion of the branches is never going to go back to in place. And you know what? It really looked like that, but we didn't have the heart to do it. And if I took a picture and showed you what these trees look like today, it's amazing. It's amazing. New branches came out, and new angles, and all like pointing towards the sun to get as much sunshine as possible. And even the ones that were distorted, they started moving a little bit more up, even though they came out more to the side from having been way down and never going back to their original position. Every element in the Bria has its own innate ability to self-heal. Your body does that when it gets cut without you doing nothing. You don't have to do anything, because the body knows what to do. And so does your mind when it recognizes the truth of thought. When it recognizes the reality of thought. That your mind, Lev in Lashon HaKodesh, controls your emotions. It's not the other way around. You experience everything you think. You feel what you think. And because of that, you're able to be in control of your life much more than when I fall into the trap of thinking the emotion I'm experiencing, I'm really down, but no, really down. And the more I say that, the more I feel it, until I've convinced myself and I actually feel depressed or become depressed. But according to this, anxiety and depression and every other imaginable emotion is really born in thought, and it's fed through my thought. And I can only exist one thought at a time, so therefore I'm only ever one thought away from recovery, from healing. I'm one thought away from changing my mind, my emotions, and therefore my reality. So I know I'm saying a bit too much. I think we want the kids to be the ones who bring out their insights into these 3 mashalim. So let's move to number 10, and this is really for the adults. You and I, the adults in the child's world, are their frame of reference. And what does that mean? Until kids discover their own reality, they define reality based on what we've told them and our role modeling. Whether it's the parents in their life, whether it's the teachers in their life, sometimes it's a very close guardian or an uncle or an aunt that they're very close to, or an older sibling that they're very close to. But the adult references in your child's life are the frame of reference for their reality. And knowing that helps us recognize our responsibility to be the best role models we possibly can, but it also helps us realize how important it is to have a good relationship with this child, with this student. Because if you want to be an influence on this student, the only way I can be an influence on this student is if the student likes me, / loves me, realizes that I love them. And it's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, where we're told, Yehi kavod talmidecha chaviv alecha keshalach, that the love you have, the kavod you have, the appreciation, admiration you have for your student should be only equivalent at least to that which you have for yourself. So this is very telling, because I now understand I have an achrayus, I have a responsibility to appreciate this child, and in reciprocation, this child will want to learn from me. This child will want to listen. This child will want to receive, will want to believe, will want to trust. And that's the most important soil, fertile soil for planting seeds in the relationship is rapport. Getting along with this child, whether it's at home, whether it's in the classroom. So here's our question. Who do we want to have as the most influential influence in our child's life? The peers, their friends, social media, movies, the street, or the parents, the teachers? We know the answer, it's obvious. We want that the parents should be the ones who have the strongest influence in our child's life. But the sad reality is that peer pressure is gigantic. Social media is very compelling. We're going to talk about that also in recess, the power of the social media. The reality is we have competition. So how can I be the major influence over my kids where my kids have peer pressure, social pressure, competition, see what matters to other kids, what they're buying, what they're wearing, hairstyle, and whoever knows what else there is out there, that I want my influence over the child, my value system to be the strongest influence in the child's life. So how are we going to make that come about? Because why am I bringing this up here in bullying? Very simple. If I'm going to be of any helpful influence in my child who might be suffering or going through a situation where he's being bullied or she's being bullied, the relationship I have with that child is going to have a major say in how receptive that child will be to my trying to influence them, in helping them get through this difficult period of being bullied. So it has everything to do with being bullied. It has everything. So what's the first thing I have to start paying more attention to, or maybe even build for the first time? So we're going to talk about rapport in a very serious way, but at this particular point, we have established how important the parent-teacher is in the child's world. With that, we also have to recognize what we might be doing that's not helpful. Because if a child is telling me, the teacher or parent, that I was bullied, and how was I bullied? So-and-so called me ugly or stupid or silly, whatever it is, and then my response is, oh no, you're a good boy. Oh no, you're very pretty, Sarah. You're not ugly. And it's very nice that I'm saying that now, but it's a bit late saying it after they've already heard the insult. Compliments that are given outside in are outside in. And until the child generates their own self-knowledge of who they are, not just because they've been told, but because they know it themselves, outside-in compliments have a serious danger of artificially inflating me, so that if/when I recognize that I'm really not what you're saying, I'm so much more able to believe the insults or the criticism, because now I realize I was fooled. Not that you deceived me on purpose, but I know I'm not pretty, or I know I'm not clever, or I know I am slow, or I am dumb, or I'm not fast, or I'm not good on that sport. So we've got to be very careful that if we're going to pay compliments, it's got to be compliments that the child is able to hook on an example that convinces the child, oh yeah, that's true because, and fill in the blank of after the word because. So for example, if a child comes and says to her mother, Sarah, what happened? Sarah, are you okay? No, Michael said I'm ugly. Now, I could fall into the trap of saying, oh no, but you're so pretty and you're so lovely, everyone loves you, you're beautiful. And then that doesn't take away the fact that Michael says, the little next door neighbor or her brother that she's ugly, and she's hurt by that. So how do I help the child from inside out recognize your claim is I'm ugly, what's my frame of reference? So if the child has been complimented many times by the mother, father, for being a beautiful child, and then eventually as they mature, 3, 4, 5 years old, you start talking about, do you know what I mean when I keep saying how beautiful you are? I said, yeah, because I'm pretty. I said, yeah, and there's 2 types of beauty. Did you know that? Well, I think you really do. There's an outside beauty and there's an inside beauty. Do you know which one is the inside beauty? And it says, because I'm a good girl? Or she might say, oh, because I smile a lot, that's why you say you always love me? And they'll probably surprise you with some of the answers they'll give you. Otherwise, you can help direct them by giving examples of where they smile, or where they forgive, or where they're easygoing, or they're responsible, they clean up after their mess, or they help their brother with their homework, or whatever it is that you are attaching to the verbal compliment you're giving them. So it's not a verbal compliment that is hanging in the air and it's not attached to anything. You're saying one of the many reasons you're beautiful inside is because, and you fill in that blank with examples of their act of responsibility, or sharing, or being mivater, or giving in without resentment, or sharing a new game and not getting upset when it got broken, that he fixed it, but it still got broken, and you didn't scream or shout or get into a tantrum. And helping a child see their inner strength is something that you can turn to when a child comes in and says, I'm ugly. You can possibly say, well, that's not my opinion, but there's a much better way of doing this. You can turn it inside out. And how do you do that? Very easy. Ooh, that hurts. Michael said you're ugly? Yes, he said I'm ugly. But Sarah, is it true? Well, it's true, he said it. No, but is it true that you are ugly? Well, he said I'm ugly. Oh, so Sarah, what's more important? What Michael thinks of you, or what you think of you? And you can ask it very gently and seriously, and help her come to the answer, what I think of me. Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. And leave it at that. Because she came to that conclusion herself, and you're celebrating it by saying, oh, I'm glad you thought that. I agree. And leave it at that, because that's exactly what you want her to display. Because now she's got a frame of reference. Well, I don't think I'm ugly. She's more likely to recover very quickly, but not just because she's going to forget about it, but because she has found within herself her own frame of reference. I don't think I'm ugly, or I don't think I'm stupid. And if you as a parent want to help the child identify, well, do you remember yesterday when we had a problem, we couldn't figure out an answer, and then you came up with the answer yourself, and the whole family was able to go on our trip because you figured out how we could fit everything in? So, do you think someone who does that is stupid or smart? And you just help them say, oh yeah, that means I'm smart. Oh yeah, that means I'm intelligent. I'm resourceful, or I can find solutions. So by building children in their younger years with an internal frame of reference of, I know I'm good because, I know I'm resourceful because, I know I can make mistakes, but I can also say sorry. And I know that's true because, and you fill in the blank. I've made mistakes and I have said sorry and I bounced back. I know my mother loves me because my mother's made mistakes and shouted at me, and she's apologized and hugged me and reminded me that she still loves me no matter what. Daddy loves me no matter what. And he's even told me, do you know what no matter what means? And he said, even when I'm a naughty girl, he still loves me. And it's true, because I've made mistakes and he still loves me. And when kids know that, not believe it because they've been told, but believe it because it's from inside out. They experience it. So that's building children from the inside out. Essentially, an outside-in compliment is not going to sway them when they're being bullied. Oh no, you're a good girl, you're not bad. Oh, you're not ugly, you're pretty. Whatever it was that they were bullied or intimidated or verbally insulted about, that they're upset and feeling horrible about themselves, essentially an internal switch has to take place for the child to be able to reveal their own resilience. Those three metaphors that we had before, the dollar bill, the 10-pin, and the Rolls Royce, those are all aiming for similar goals to help the child recognize, am I worth less because of the bullying, or my intrinsic self-worth doesn't change? Am I knocked down? And if I am, do I have the internal resilience to pick myself up? Or do I stay knocked down? And because they've been through this kind of activities and reminders in the Midas program, where there's a lot of emphasis in the classroom, in recess, where the Rebbe, the Mora, is able to draw upon these examples of where our Midas are really being generated. Are they being generated from our reaction to the world around us? Or is it really what we're thinking that controls our kas, or jealousy, or gaiva, or unkind words? Motzi Shemra, Lashon Hara, Rechilus. These are Oines Dvarim. These shameful words are coming from my mind, from what I'm saying inside of my mind, and letting my mouth repeat those words. When children start recognizing this is the real source of it, then when we learn the actual halachas of Shmiras Lashon, and we learn stories about our Gedolim, it kind of starts to fit. Oh, they were Moshel Beruchai. They controlled their thought. Avram Avinu was Aymed Bekulam. He stood up to all his nisyonos. Says Rashi in that Mishnah, Perek Avos, Perek Hey, Mishnah Gimel, Shalohiher Acharei Midoisav Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He didn't think of the midas of Hashem. He wasn't thinking, remember, you're supposed to be kind. How can you do this? You ask me to be so cruel to my son. He didn't think. Murayv Avasai. Because of his deep, deep love for Hashem. So for his deep love for Hashem, he knew Hashem couldn't go wrong, couldn't do any wrong, would do no wrong to him, and therefore any thought that would contradict the command to bring his child as a korban, any thought that would contradict that, he ignored. He didn't think, yeah, that's a good question, and start analyzing it. And so Rabbi Shalom, before I get to Har Maria, I really need to go to my therapist and talk this through. I really gotta be able to get through this. And our tzaddikim, Talmidei Chachamim, did the simplest thing in the world. You can call it a lifetime career, but it's really a shift in thinking, recognizing the source of everything is my thought, my mind. And the most amazing part is you, Rebbeinu Shloim, are there with me all the time. You're the one who's powering my ability to think. It was your Tselem Elokim in every single moment of my life. You know that beautiful mashal that Rashi brings from the Medrash, where a child is on his father's back, and then on his shoulders, and the son is attacked by a wolf and by a lion, a snake, and each time the father moves him to his front, to the back, on his shoulders, and at one point the kid says, "Where's my father?" And the father gets really upset with him. He throws him down onto the ground and says, "What do you mean, where am I? Who do you think saved you from the snake and the wolf and the lion? I'm the one who's been carrying you the whole time." The possibility of me asking, "Where is the Rebbeinu Shloim?" is a misunderstanding of reality. It's a completely innocent misunderstanding. Because Hashem's carrying me the whole time. It's all a switch in my mindset. Oh, Rebbeinu Shalom, you're powering me. It's not just roifechul basar or mafli lasais. It's astonishing what you do in all the chemical reactions that are taking place inside of my brain and every single part of my nervous system, my heart and my lungs and my livers and every single one of my organs, all my 75 trillion cells are all being powered by you. It's all true, and on top of all that, It's the Tselem Elokim that you're inside me all the time, powering my thought. And therefore, I'm never more than one thought away from Teshuvah, Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Achdus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yod Echad. Everything that's happening in my entire life and the whole world is all part of one big, perfect story of your hashgacha. And therefore, the Ikar Golus is belief, is in the mind. The Ikar Chesaron of Emunah is over here. And Chazal tell us, Nedarim Mem Aleph, which says, Da Bei Kule Bei. If Da there means Das, the simple Hebrew explanation of the Aramaic is Im Das Kanita Machasarta. If you've got Das, knowledge, that Hashem is really behind everything, oh, Machasarta, you're not missing anything. What are you missing? Im Das Chasarta, but if I don't have that thought that you're the only one, then Ma Kanita. What have you ever acquired? And Rashi over there tells us, if a person has the das, he's got everything. He's not missing anything. Oh, wow. So this is really the crux of all midas, ashgacha. It's the crux of getting through tragedy. It's the core of being able to call upon a resilience that's always there. It's never not there. You can't crush the real me. That's Tselem Elokim. Tselem Elokim is uncrushable, is indestructible. So no matter what I go through, whatever you say, whatever you throw at me, whoever you is, can't affect that part of me that's only one thought away from being revealed. And that one thought could be the most amazing insight into, Rebbein Shalom, you've been with me all along. Like, how could I ever say, Ayeka, where are you? What do you mean, where are you? You're inside my body. You're powering 75 trillion cells simultaneously, and it happens to be the only ability I have to think and make choices and bechira is because you are Tselem Elokim inside of me, period. There's no negotiation, it's simple reality.